Everything about this country is a lie. The deceivers can no longer deceive the people because there's just entirely too much information that is out there by way of the internet. I mean, just one click, bam, and you have signals sent all across this world where anybody can access an extraordinary amount of information in a short period of time. The research is cut down, and of course, everything about America, our social, our political, our economic, and the religious systems, they all have been found out to be liars, a nation of deceivers. And think about this. The powers that be, they have known all this time that they have been fleecing, that they have been coercing, that they have been manipulating, and that they have just flat out been lying to us, the people. And what's happening is the gig is up. The gig is literally up all across the board. The religion of Christianity can't lie and deceive no more. Now, people would choose to believe that because people have sacred cows. And the majority of the sacred cows that people have has been developed based upon traditions that have been passed down that have no biblical backing. We also see the fallacy of our monetary system. We understand that Federal Reserve notes that is just backed up by the so-called word of the United States of America is a lie. That's why we're in an economic depression right now. Of course, me and you don't think that we're in a depression because we have something going on right now that has never happened in the history of mankind. Now, while money and currency has been devalued over the centuries, we've used everything from talent sticks to word, to strings, to cutting off pieces of silver in order to pay public debts or private debts. We have a thing called a printing press to where you and I, we can't do it. It's called counterfeiting. But it's never called counterfeiting. That's the double standard. When our government takes the printing press, cranks it up, and just by a stroke of the pen, they say that we can infuse into the system at the taxpayer's expense $2 trillion. Just bam, created out of nothing. They're not concerned about debts because this is a debt-based system. It can only operate on debt. That means it's going to continue to keep expanding, keep expanding, keep expanding. If you don't believe me, go type in national debt history into Google and get educated and find out and see what I'm saying. Also, go type in Christmas into Google and see where it originated from and see what I'm saying, see if it's so. See, we are a nation of liars all over the place. And these politicians, once they may start out like they're going to campaign for the best interest of you and I, that they're actually going to represent you and I. But you and I both know that we have no representation. We have no representation whatsoever at all. We have no voice. That's the way it's supposed to be set up. But we all know that every one of them get corrupted once they head up there to Washington, D.C., because there are powerful special interest groups that are there vying for their attention and vote in order to make this non-breathing, non-living entity, which our Congress and everybody else says is a real person, i.e. a corporation, exist. It's amazing. So they in the best interest of the corporation. The corporation can be sued, but not the individuals behind it. Do you understand? So everything is all, everything is operating after a matrix. It's all a flat out lie. Now, there is truth, but truth is perishing in the land, but there is truth. And everyone that is of the truth will hear the truth and comply. But what they have done is they have dumbed us down so much to an unprecedented level that we have become used to functioning, living under deception and lies. As a matter of fact, we are so immoral today that we literally have no shame. We can turn around, and I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation. We can turn around and commit adultery and whoremonger and lie, cheat, and steal the whole 9 yards. But if somebody else does it, we will turn around and point our fingers down their neck and their throat and try to condemn them, and we want blood. We want the death sentence. It is utterly amazing, the hypocrisy. Truly, Every man is right in his own eyes. The news media, everything is in the best interest of the corporation. I guess that's because the United States of America is a corporation. And I can go on and on and on and on and on. What's going to wake us up out of all of this deception? What's going to wake us up out of all this deception of the religious truth? The deception of these religious hulksters that play on our feelings and emotions, because man inherently will worship something. Even if it's your own personal opinion or your own self, or you make an idol out of your own opinion, you are worshiping something, because simply we have been created to worship. It may be money, it may be a statue, it may be an ideal, it may be a theology or an ideology. You will worship something, whether you like it or not. You can dress it up all you want, but you're not going to escape it. And so now we accept a money system that has literally no value to it whatsoever at all. And it's obvious that they're manipulating our money system. And every single one that wants to come out and be a whistleblower and stuff, it's amazing at the extraordinary amount of bankers and their families that have been literally murdered this year. I mean, we're dealing with gangsters, professional gangsters like you have never seen before in your life. You know, all these movies that you see that tries to paint a picture of you what a gangster is, all that pales in comparison. There used to be a time that the American soldier used to think that he was going out to defend the best interests of the United States of America against enemies foreign. Now we know that every soldier's been nothing but cannon fodder for the best interests of the corporations who don't give a damn about us, our children, or our souls. What is it? So what's the big deal to pay you some Federal Reserve notes? They can create more. That doesn't mean anything. They can create more. We have been used, we have been abused, and we have been forsaken. And what's happening is civil unrest all the way across the board, because the people are beginning to wake up. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, people, you had better start preparing yourself, because a slave that used to love his chains, that desires to get free, the master don't want to let you go. And history proves that the master will literally do everything he can to whoop your ass. Well, I know that you're used to these deceivers, you know, these flower child, soft-spoken, manicured up, passive preachers that you call pastors. They don't even know what the hell a shepherd is. And believe me, we love to have it so, because what they do is they confirm our deception. They confirm our ease that we live in. And when it really truly comes time to get down to the nitty gritty, these boogers will take off and run. Just like a bishop did in Louisiana when Katrina took place. We've been through a lot, y'all. And he turned around, and as soon as everything was, the city was being flooded, he got in his Lear jet and flew off the high ground and left all the sheep of his pasture back there to suffer. That's a shepherd. I'm telling you. You people need to listen. Everybody does not possess the spirit of truth. Neither do they have your best interest in mind. And like I said before, you have to beware. You really, truly need to beware. And you need to check your own heart and your own mind, because even your own self can reason you right out of the truth and right out of the faith. Being religious is simply not going to cut it. You have to live this thing in order to understand the power. Our judicial system is corrupt. The executive system is corrupt. The legislative system is corrupt. These branches are so-called government. The only problem is there's no justice. Justice only comes from you, the hands of the people. We've gotten to the point now in America that if anybody even tries to protest, they tase you, they tear gas you, they lock you up, they mace you, they beat you with batons, even if you're standing there peaceably. And look what the powers that be have done. What psychological warfare is taking place that now that they can get someone to actually become a police officer, and some way, somehow, through their indoctrination and training, make you think that you're better than the common citizens. You know, again, it all reminds me of Braveheart, that movie that Mel Gibson made in the mid-90s. And you ought to look at it. I've probably seen the thing, I can't tell you how many times, because everything about that movie resonates so true today. It's just that when you're looking at something in a time where they didn't have these modern day conveniences, many of us do not know how to equate it, because when we sit down and look at a movie, our minds are not functioning to its fullest capacity. We're sitting down there mind numb to be entertained, not understanding the real true message. Only a very few people will understand the message that is going on, and only a very few people will be able to look behind these movies. I mean, how many of you have seen all these occultic symbols in these movies, behind these music videos? Nobody believes that there's a creator universe, but all these people who are moving and controlling the movie industry, the music industry, every bit of it, they all serve the devil and tell you that they do. Now, how in the hell did the devil get here if Yahweh doesn't exist? It's just nonsensical. It don't make any sense. But I understand we live in a time where people have literally just put out of their mind and put out of their conscience any conviction whatsoever at all, because they equate conviction with condemnation. And since you do everything you can to insulate yourself from being condemned, which really, if you're guilty, is because you're not meeting any conditions. If you're full of shame, it's because you're not meeting any conditions. And if you're full of condemnation, that's because you're not meeting righteous conditions. And so we continue to keep going in this circus, doing this dog and pony show. And it's hard, I'm telling you. It's hard. Very few people will be saved. I mean, really, truly delivered. They are not going to be meant. Do not deceive yourself at all. There are only a few men in this world that have honor and integrity in their hearts. And it's hard for you to recognize it if you don't have it in your own. You know, truth. Again, it's about embracing truth, no matter what that truth may be. It's about embracing it and living it and backing it up and supporting it. But when your feelings and your emotions and your own book of the law means more than truth, you'll forget. Hey, listen to me very closely. Do not be deceived. Do not be deceived. America has sowed and we're going to reap. We have lived by the sword, and damn it if we are not going to die by the sword. And I told you, I know it sounds crazy. A lot of us are waiting for these foreign armies to come into this country right here and to destroy it. No. What's going to happen is we're going to destroy each other because we're too stupid to recognize the mind manipulation that is going on. They have pit one person against another, class warfare. And the news media is instrumental in this. And no matter how much I holler and scream and shout, I know we don't want to hear it. Somehow we love our utopia. We love our fairy tale world. And we just think that if we just ignore it, it's just going to go away. What are you going to do when you are forced to come face to face with reality and your mind has not been prepared? Men, you had better man up and forget about these base thoughts. And you had better find someone who has the spirit of truth that can teach you, that can show you how to be a man of honor and integrity and live it, because there's only going to be a few of us. And I'm sorry. I'm surrounded by people in my own county up here, parish. I do not trust a one of them. I only have one or two people that have moved from another state into this area right here. Them the only ones I trust. All the rest of them, I don't trust them as far as I can see them. Not a one of them. See, I'm used to being smiled at. And then these people turn around. As soon as you leave, they're cutting your throat. It's a sad reality. That's why I love my little homestead. Every blade of grass, I love it with all my heart. Because I've worked hard, myself and the brethren, with blood, sweat, and tears. And we've done everything we can possible to create an environment of serenity and safety. But like I said, the only thing that destroys us is whenever we allow people who seem to be of somewhat come in and they seek out the weak people amongst us, which I'm trying to make strong, but it's tough, because as long as you're dealing with humanity, the jury is always out. You have to be strong, and you first have to be strong right here. And I'm going to tell you the same thing that Jesus said, who you say you love. A man's own foes will be they of his own household. Believe that. Yes, they will.